Union, and we're back for another Seattle Seahawks season. And back with us today is one of our favorites, and I would say probably our most knowledgeable guy on the topic of Seattle Seahawks, Robert English. How you doing?
I am doing pretty good, Abe. I'm very happy to be back on the air with you. It's been a long off season, hasn't it?
It's been a long off season. I was thinking about how much I was banging the gong that this team wasn't going to go anywhere this year, and then I had a revelation. I had to come to Jesus, or shall I say, a come to Jadeveon moment a couple weeks ago when he was picked up by the Seahawks. And everything that I've seen from him in the past, everything that I've read, is coming true. We saw it this weekend against the Bengals.
Yeah, I when I heard about this signing, I got really excited. But I am the kind of person where I try to keep myself tempered in my excitement with things like this, because when things seem too good to be true, a lot of times they are. So with the signing of Clowney, I'm thinking, okay, this guy, he's obviously, he's Jadeveon Clowney, so we know who Jadeveon Clowney is. However, when he came out of college with Houston, he dealt with a lot of injuries, and so I think that he probably didn't get to reach the potential that he that he could have been, if it weren't for the injuries that he had. So I'm thinking, are we getting a true superstar force, on the outside, or are we getting a guy who is kind of just gonna limp along the last little bit of his career?
Damaged goods.
You know what I mean? But he came out there and he played a damn good game. He got a sack. And if nothing else, his force on the field, just being there, his presence, made other players available to make plays. That's exactly what they did.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And one of those guys was Quentin Jefferson. Had a couple sacks, and we also got to see quite a bit out of Poona Ford as well in that game. Quentin Jefferson, by the way, 7th round pick out of Maryland. I don't know if people remember that. He was one of those guys that was destined for the practice squad, and here he is 2-3 years later. He's a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely, yeah. Quentin Jefferson had a big day. He seemed like he was, in the backfield on almost every down. It was just big pressure the entire game. If he wasn't making the play himself, he was certainly disrupting the offense and really, I think, made the game for the defense.
You and I were talking offline about batted balls. It wasn't just a matter of getting sacks, which they got a handful of, but these batted balls in a game this close, that can make the difference, right?
Oh, absolutely. I certainly noticed, throughout the game, Jadeveon Clowney had a batted ball. I think Jefferson, and if it wasn't Poona Ford, it was
Al Woods.
Al Woods.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, a couple of guys. Yeah, they had some batted balls, and a couple of them came on some big third downs. I believe it was late in the game on a third down that was third and important. There was a ball batted down that ended up forcing Cincinnati to punt the ball, and we got the ball back. We're really, a conversion there would have left us on the field and really put us in a bad way. I can't remember if the one I'm thinking of in particular was while we had the lead, or if we would have allowed them to keep the lead. But either way, batted balls were huge, and I think it ended up being the difference in the game.
Yeah. Well, I noticed something about the game. I noticed something about the defense. Steve Rabel on the radio even talked about it. Yes, by the way, guys, I'm one of those guys that take a radio to the game so that I can have it an earbud in and hear the game as it's going on in front of me. But I know we're a dying breed, but that's me. And they were saying on the radio that the Seahawks stuck to a 3 linebacker set for most of the game. And as they were mentioning it, I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? The Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, were passing something like 3-1. They had 50 passing attempts and less than 20 rushing attempts. I mean, it baffled me. Why did they go with 3 linebackers? And did you like that? Did you hate that? What are your thoughts on that? I was baffled.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit as you put it, baffling. It appeared that what the game plan was going in was that they were going to put a hard stop on that Bengals running game. When you look at guys like Joe Mixon and then you got
Giovanni Bernard.
and then you got Giovanni Bernard, who's the veteran there, who's still able to make plays. But Joe Mixon is certainly he's shifty and he's fast, and he I think if I'm not mistaken, Mixon was up there, and I think he might have led the league in rushing last year. He was definitely up there.
He was up there, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically saying that the game plan then was Andy Dalton, you'll have to beat us. We're not going to let your running backs beat us.
Exactly. Hard stop on the running game and make Cincinnati one-dimensional, and which is not uncommon for the Seattle defense. I think the problem was that and I don't really think that Dalton really did a whole bunch that was really more based on skill. I think he was kind of just a lot of times he was tossing that ball up there and they just kept coming down with it, which was very frustrating.
Yeah, there were 3 plays that I can think of where there were serious breakdowns by the DBs. The infamous one at the half was with
Right.
8 seconds. Was it 10 seconds?
Yeah.
For some reason, Tedrick Thompson decided to play the ball rather than the receiver. I mean, heck, with 8 seconds left, even if he had had a pass interference on John Ross, they would have had to rush out the kicking team and kick the field goal instead of get the touchdown. I don't know what was going on in Tedrick's head.
Yeah, that one was really hard to watch because when he put that ball up, I knew by the timing of the pass that the safety was going to – the timing and the trajectory of the pass, I knew the safety was going to have a chance to get there. And so when you saw the play coming together, I'm like, that's a pick. Like,
yeah,
obviously that's a pick. And then you see as it came, and Tedrick just mistimed it, and it happens. I think when it's happening live in real time, you think you have a beat on something, and then you realize you're one step ahead of where you need to be. He took one step too early, and he took his jump, and he just mistimed it. And I mean, and I've even seen Earl Thomas do that same thing. So when you think about it, if you try to be objective, even the best players make mistakes like that. But it was just, gosh, you were tossed up a gift. Like that was an interception. At the very least, a ball that was going to get batted away. I wasn't even so mad that he didn't play the player instead of the ball. I mean, because it was a gift. It was a gimme. Like it was a duck. Just go get it. But he mistimed it, and that was really unfortunate way because I was pumped up going into the half. And that just took the wind out of the sails.
At halftime, we went for a beer, and there were everybody, the entire stadium, at least in that beer line, they want Tedrick Thompson's head on a platter. They want somebody else in there. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on replacing him?
Okay, so I don't know if I'll get into it in today's show, but when I do my podcast, I'll probably get real deep into, and me, Abe, that I am a bit of a snob as a Seahawks fan, right?
Yes, you are.
So I like to like I say, I always remain objective. Tedrick Thompson is actually pretty good. I am a Tedrick Thompson fan. Now, is he like, let's just say previous safeties we've had in recent years? Of course not. But who is? I feel like oftentimes we allow ourselves to compare who we have now to who we had then, and they're never going to measure up. They simply aren't. Even as good as Brad McDougald has played for us, he's no Earl Thomas. He's no Cam Chancellor. So
heck, McDougald ran over Ugo Amadi.
Yes, did you see that? That was that looked painful.
Yeah, so you're right. It's not like he's the next coming either.
Right. But no, I think there's always going to be that knee jerk reaction. after plays like that. I mean, because outside of that one play, I don't think he played that bad. That was a really bad play.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call for his head based on his play on the whole. I am okay with Tedrick back there still, and I would say Seahawks fans, if you're really ready to call for you can't call for anyone's head after one play,
Yeah.
So I would just say temper your reactions there, and let's see what happens next week against Big Ben.
I think people are also still freshly impressed by it, or they have an impression left on them by that playoff game against Dallas too, where he didn't have a good game. But heck, nobody had a good game on the defense against Dallas. So
right. Neither
also,
did our play caller.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to the offensive play calling in a minute. I posit this to anybody with that kind of knee-jerk reaction, and that was a great way to put it. It is a knee-jerk reaction. What is your option? Because there isn't, newsflash, there's no Earl Thomas or Kenny Easley just sitting on the bench.
Right.
So Ugo Amadi, rookie. Marquise Hill, rookie with an injury history. And your other option is Lano Hill, and Tedrick Thompson beat him in training camp. He beat him out for that position. So, what? If you don't like Tedrick Thompson, and I'm kind of souring on him a little bit, the fact of the matter is he's the best we have.
Yeah, and we have to go with that. You know what I mean? He's the best that we have right now. And it's not that he's bad. You know what I mean? I won't sit here and assert that this player is not good. He's the best. And really, is he the best? Like truly, we don't even really know, because one of Pete Carroll's, what's true to Pete Carroll's form is that he's going to play who is competing the best. When they go out there every week, and everybody is out there to compete. They can always compete, is what Pete Carroll says, right? So
Yeah.
So when somebody gets out there and they're looking like they're in their competition, they're looking like they're the better fit, they're going to be the one to start. So Tedrick Thompson's position as the starter at that at safety is not concrete, So if anyone else can get out there and show that they might be able to help the team better, then they'll get out there and get their chance.
Yeah, and I'm really big on, if you put one of those two rookies out there, they're going to do the same thing and more often. They're going to get exposed. Rookies just don't come in and dominate as safeties. It doesn't happen.
Right. Not typically. Yeah. Marquise Blair, I think he's poised to do good things, but he's just not ready. You know what I mean? I don't believe he's ready. Ugo Amadi, he's shown promise. He shows that he's dynamic. But I mean, yeah, you said young guys, they need their time. They need their time.
Well, look at Cody Barton. Cody Barton was probably posited as the most NFL ready player. Mm-hmm. And he made a rookie mistake by running over the punter.
Yes, that was very unfortunate, because I was, and I still am, high on Cody Barton. But then when he did that, I was thinking, I'm like, young mistake. It's a young mistake right there. Like, it was the game was full of those, but I think that was the first one. That was early in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, Barton, what are you doing? You're gonna be on the bench doing that kind of stuff.
All right, let's flip over to the offensive side of things, because it wasn't just a couple of defensive breakdowns that made this game really, really close. There was a complete inability not a complete inability. Chris Carson had an okay set of runs, but as a whole, we only managed 72 yards on the ground. And for a rush first team, that's not gonna get it done.
Yeah, no, not at all. This game was, as far as I'm concerned, 180 degrees out of what was expected. Really on both sides of the ball, but as far as the offense goes, the running game was almost non-existent until late. Chris Carson started getting a little more going. San Diego State there, Rashad Penny, he was completely ineffective, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he you know, and he's always being touted as potentially the next best great thing or whatever. But I'm really I feel the whole Rashad Penny experiment is quite underwhelming. But I mean, but I can't say that this has anything to do with him, because Cincinnati just, either Cincinnati did a great job with their front seven, or the offensive line was unfortunately, showing signs of old. And I think it was more that than more the latter than the former. Russell had very little time in the pocket. He took, I think, ended up with 5 sacks on the day.
2, 4, 4 sacks. 4 sacks.
4 sacks. Okay,
yep.
Yeah. See, and then they were at very very inopportune times.
But a bunch of pressures too.
Yeah, and a bunch of pressures, right, and and I think even Russell at certain times he looked a little bit, I don't know, maybe insecure, or just he wasn't being he was indecisive at least, and I don't know quite where that comes from. I would love to see Russell do more throwing the ball away. If you think he can't find it, he tends to duck his head and go down, which I completely get. But like, just get rid of the ball, save us a few yards, because having 2nd and 18 is just killing me. It's killing me inside and out.
Here, this is just a theory on my part. I haven't heard anybody else bring this up, but I noticed a quite a bit of dump off passes in both the preseason and in yesterday's game. The Chris Carson was the beneficiary of a lot of these dump off passes. That is not something that Russell Wilson has done a lot in the past, and I wonder if that's a wrinkle that he's trying to figure out. I don't know.
I think based on what I've been hearing, from all the Pete Carroll and the Schottenheimer's press conferences, they want to involve the running backs, particularly Chris Carson, in the passing game. So I think that was a very deliberate change to our offensive philosophy. They wanted to get Chris Carson the football in the passing game, and I mean, they went hard at it as far as I saw. And I think he was, for the most part, he was pretty good. He had the one touch, the one score. I believe that was on a little flare pass out there in the flat. So yeah, that it ultimately, I believe that worked out to be successful. I think he dropped 1 or 2 throughout the game.
Yes, he did.
Which I don't like to see, because look, if you're gonna, I like seeing J.D. McKissick out there receiving passes out of the backfield, because he seems to be pretty sure-handed.
Well, isn't the idea though, Robert, that if you have Chris Carson catching passes, he's not known as a pass catching threat, whereas J.D. McKissick, if you see him in the backfield, he's most likely catching the ball, right?
Yeah, you would think so, right? So maybe a little bit of an element of surprise.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if the whole element of surprise thing really plays so much. I mean, it can, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that McKissick, when he was on the field for us, I mean, the kid just he's a converted wide receiver. So
yes.
So he has the shiftiness, he has the ability, the route running know-how, and all that good stuff. So he was able to get out there. They would run him on wheel routes out of the backfield, and he just end up finding his way open, just because he knows how to find that spacing. He knows where to go, how to do it. With Chris Carson, I think it's going to be good. I think this experiment's going to be good. Having him run the football. Receive the ball out of the backfield. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Because I think if you get Chris Carson into space, if you get him matched up one-on-one with a corner, or even a linebacker for that matter, out there in the flats, I think he stands to make some pretty good runs for us out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
Out of his 6 catches, I think I only saw like 2 or 3 times he was even covered.
Right.
The Bengals just didn't like that, didn't expect it, or just wanted to concede it. What about C.J. Prosise? Since McKissick got let go, could C.J. Prosise, former wide receiver out of Notre Dame, would he fill the role that you were suggesting for McKissick?
I would like to see that. I believe he could, if we would decide to, we are running back by committee type of offense. All I know is this: CJ Prosise was blowing my socks off during the preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, the runs he was making, his shiftiness in the backfield. I mean, he was looking like somebody who the defenses were having trouble just getting their hands on, let alone tackling. So if that's the guy that Prosise is going to be when he's healthy, yes, absolutely, get him out there, get him into space, and let's throw the ball. Let's throw the ball to him, and let him see what he can do out there. Absolutely, I'd be more than happy to see that happen.
Tell me what your thoughts are with Tyler Lockett. Only 2 targets. One being a very big, game-winning touch, or the touchdown that put us ahead. But is 2 targets to Tyler Lockett a good idea?
No, and I was thinking that a lot during the game. I was kind of thinking like, okay, where's Tyler Lockett? Did he get bumped and he's not at 100%, and we just don't know about it yet? What's going on? It turns out that apparently Tyler Lockett was being doubled most, if not the entire game.
Oh, that would make sense then.
Yeah. So he actually said in his post game interviews that it was something that he was not even used to, because I mean typically he has Doug Baldwin on the other side of the field or in the slot next to him or something like that. So he's not drawing a lot of double teams. We have many games over the last 2 years where Doug Baldwin would only be the recipient of a few targets. And we're wondering, how come we can't get the ball in Doug Baldwin's hands? And it's because he's drawn double teams. Well, Tyler Lockett is the heir apparent with Doug Baldwin's retirement. And so he's drawing that he's drawing that attention. I would imagine though, and not to jump the gun here, but I imagine that's going to change with the performance of DK Metcalf on Sunday.
Well, let's talk about that. A rookie out of Ole Miss. A lot of teams just flat out passed on him because they didn't think he could run a slant pattern. What did we see today? What did we see? We saw like 4 or 5 different routes that he ran.
Right.
And did a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. And I think he caught 2 different. I think it was 2 different slants he caught on Sunday, and obviously the 2 big balls. The first of which he almost broke free and scored on. He got tripped up, and then the one later on where he kind of he was in the middle of the field and jumped, and it was really between 2 a corner and a safety, if I'm not mistaken. And just held onto the ball even while getting hit. I mean, he showed that he's sure-handed. And if that is DK Metcalf, then we have some fun times ahead of us. If that guy that we saw yesterday is DK, if that is him, then we're going to be just fine.
Well, he even drew 2. Yeah, I think he drew 2 pass interference penalties because he kept getting matched up against their shortest, or every once in a while, he'd get matched up against their shortest DB. And all they could do is tackle him or grab him.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Gronkowski effect,
Yeah. Oh, that one over the middle that you were talking about where he got hit pretty hard and another guy came in on him. That was on a seam pattern. I watched it from the 300 level. You get to see pass plays really well from row triple Z, by the way.
Yes.
And he did that route. Like you were talking about Gronkowski. It's the one where you just go straight and you're going to get just obliterated by the free safety, but he didn't show any fear.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a testament, if nothing, if not to his, his just bravery and, fearlessness. Also the fact that he's a physical specimen. I mean, the guy, when he got drafted, he came into the front office where he took his shirt off, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, dude, I mean, how do you? If I looked like him, I wouldn't be scared to go across the middle either,
Right. All right, cool. So last year, the team averaged about 28 points per game offensively, and we only had 21 in this game. With a couple of minutes that we have left, can you identify what might have gone wrong with the Seahawks? Why didn't they get more than 45 total offensive plays off?
This game was, and unfortunately it's true to form. Seahawks football, at least as of maybe I'll say our post championship days, the last few years is we are ending up behind the sticks early. And with our game plan, with our offensive philosophy, we just can't afford to be behind the sticks. If we want to play the game that we play.
For our listeners out there, sorry to interrupt you, but for our listeners out there, that means 2nd and 12s or first and 15s due to penalties.
Right. Yeah. On first down, you're supposed to get positive yardage. So if you get negative yards on first down, you are behind the sticks. And gotcha. So yeah, we because we want to run the football. I mean, we make it well known. We don't hide it. We don't do any trickery behind it. We want to line up and run the football. But you don't get those opportunities when on first down somebody holds, or on first down Russell Wilson takes a sack, or the running back gets blown up behind the line of scrimmage and we lose 5 or 6 yards. It just completely messes up the entire game plan. And we did that a lot yesterday. And so that changes everything. And so, and I don't want to take anything away from Cincinnati, because, as poorly as we played, they did play us well. Their front seven did well to stop what we wanted to do, particularly by disrupting Russell Wilson and getting him off his spot.
Yeah, and maybe there's a renewed enthusiasm there. Maybe with Marvin Lewis gone and this new coach, and maybe there's a different message, or at least the same message told by a different person to the players. And they also lost some real nutcases to free agency, so maybe they've got a little bit better chemistry on that defense.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, there's always you get a brand new coach, and another young coach. Young coaches in this league are apparently starting doing good things. Look at the I almost said St. Louis. Look at the Los Angeles Rams. They got a young coach, and with this young-minded gameplay, this young spirit, they're doing great things. So maybe Cincinnati's right behind them, and they almost pulled off a very big upset, because I think that the spread was 9.5 or 10 or something like that. In Vegas.
I saw that and I shuddered. The Seahawks are known for a couple things. One is they never lose by more than nine points, and the other one is they don't seem to ever win by more than.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that as well. I was thinking, like, man, I don't like saying this phrase or whatever, because it's kind of cliche, but there's that phrase that we say when a team plays down to their opponent. And I hate saying that, because I don't want my team to be that kind of team. I don't want to say it because it might make it true, but it's
kind of do that.
It seems like gosh, Seattle, like when you're playing a team that you're far and above better than, can you just go ahead and just mop the floor with them, just if nothing else to make me feel better?
Hey, by the way, I got a cool stat for you. Of the 6 quarterbacks that have thrown for 400 yards on the Seahawks during the Pete Carroll era, those quarterbacks are 0-6 against the Seahawks.
How about that?
Yeah.
and actually, and this is what Andy Dalton, this is his first loss to Seattle on Sunday. He actually was undefeated against Seattle as a
is that right?
Yeah, Dalton had never lost to Seattle.
Okay, we got a minute left. Robert, I want to get before I get your thoughts, I want you to give out there any Twitter pages, or what do you call them, Twitter handles, or any and your podcast site. Want to give you a chance to give people a shout out on that.
Well, definitely look out for me on Seattle Sports Union, seattlesportsunion.com. I will be adding my 2 cents by way of article there. And so shout out to SSU. But you can catch my podcast, Short Yardage. It's on Podbean, and you can also add it to your RSS feed in Apple Podcasts app. But Short Yardage .podbean.com, and check in there for all of my wonderful Seahawk expertise that I plan on sharing all season long. all
And
the
then
way
your
to the Super Bowl.
Twitter's at
Well, Twitter is down right now.
okay, all right.
But we'll shut Twitter out later on.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Last thoughts. What do you see? What do you want to see coming up for the Seahawks against the Steelers? So I want to know what you see in your mind, and then what you want to see. For example, I want to see them get some first downs versus here's what's actually going to happen against the Steelers.
Well, what I want to see, is switch out from this that base, 4-3 defense. I think we're gonna have to. There's just no way you're gonna try to play 3 linebackers against Big Ben.
Yeah.
Even Sans Antonio Brown. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster. You got a couple of young guys over there in Pitt who Big Ben's gonna sit back there and throw the ball to. So I think you're gonna play the pass and maybe at the very least you're gonna run a lot of nickel formation as a base that game. Hopefully the run game doesn't take off on us. They do have a pretty good running back over there. I definitely want to see us get some first downs, as you certainly put it. We've definitely got to stay, as I said, stay ahead of the sticks in this game. No offensive penalties, or at least not first down penalties that are setting us back.
Right.
We need to convert on third down. I think Chris Carson. I think the offensive line gets together. I think is Cincinnati going to be back next week?
No word.
No word yet. Well, hopefully that we get some consistency with the offensive line, and Chris Carson is able to find some holes. Pittsburgh is traditionally a 3-4 defense by base. I'm not sure if they switched it up, in recent years, but I think that should present us with some opportunities to run the ball.
Cool. And forecast? Do you think we're going to win in Pittsburgh?
Watching Pittsburgh play last night. They don't look that good.
No, they don't.
So now, granted, they were playing Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But when Tom Brady wasn't on the field, they still didn't look that good. So I do believe that we are going to do something different with our Seattle Seahawks team, and that is go on the road early, East Coast trip, and beat what is typically known to be a fairly decent team on the road.
Great. Well, you guys heard it from Robert English himself. I'm Abraham DeWeese. Thanks for joining us today.